ready.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for another session of Centering the SDGs Youth Voices. Our next panel is called Waste We Create, How to Manage Different Types of Waste. And I'm gonna let the teachers and students introduce themselves now and start their panel.
So I am Neeru Bhushan. I am teaching in Bluebells International. I'm the Eco Club coordinator and taking care of various environment related projects in school with my teams. My principal is here, Ma'am Manju Sethi. My HOD is here, Ma'am Veena Suri. And of course, Ma'am Preeti Puri, everyone knows, and school counselor, and she's also taking care of all the projects for SDGs. And my co-teachers are also here. So I would hand over to Ma'am Vanita to introduce herself.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Vanita Khanna. I'm a teacher in Bluebells and just looking forward for learning either from the environment or from the children. Thank you. Over to you, Ma'am Juhi.
Hi, I'm Juneja. I've been teaching in Bluebells since 8 years, and it's an honor to be a part of this project. And I'm sure we all will make a difference to the environment. Thank you. Kids can take over, I guess.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mahashweta, and I'll be the moderator for the day. And it's a pleasure being with all of you. Over to Hardik.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Hardik Madan, a student in Bluebells, but here in the panel, I'll be representing the Eco Club ambassador of our school. May we all have a fruitful discussion. Thank you.
A very good evening to everyone. My name is Omysha Mehra and I'm representing the Indian Center for Plastics in the Environment. I will also be portraying a good image of plastics in front of you all, and cheers to a good discussion.
Hello, everyone. I am Hansika Bhargava. Today, I'll be representing a hydraulic engineer in the panel discussion, and I hope it's a very fruitful one. So, thank you. Over to Trisha.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Trisha Juneja, and I'll be playing the role of a student. So looking forward to a great discussion. Over to Preksha.
Good evening, everyone. So my name is Trisha, and I'll be representing the Government of India in the panel. Thank you.
So I guess we'll start with the presentation. Over to Hansika.
We also have one guest today, Mrs. Rekha Lala. She is the Green School Program Coordinator in Climate Reality Project India organization. The organization was founded by Mr. Al Gore, US former Vice President. So Ms. Rekha Lala is also here with us today. We have requested her to join the session. So she's also here. Over to you, Ma'am Rekha Lala. Would you like to say a few words? I saw her here. I think we can continue, ma'am. I think has got disconnected. So whenever she'll be back, we'll listen from her also.
So over to you, Mahashweta, for the proceedings.
The earth is ours to relish. Let's help it not perish. We all must care for all its beauty that we share.
The damage that we caused is irreversible. Healing it is our only mission. Together we can, it is possible. It must be protected in any condition.
Don't put our mother at stake for a trendy look. Instead, shop sustainable. That's #1 in the playbook. The elixir of life continues to diminish. Stop the denial. Use it wisely for Homo sapiens survival.
Help the ozone, retain your wind. Don't use aerosols as they should be done. Save endangered species. Give them some space. Help them compete in an unequal race. Single-use plastic is clogging the seas. Recycle all the waste and throw nothing away, because it may come in use one fine day.
Let us make the Mother Earth a cover girl, dressing her with a green gown and rose-lined pearl. Let us sew every part of her dress with the finest thread of unity. Make her our empress.
Let us see the goddess shine by always keeping her fit and fine. With the lights of her heart, Let's not let her drift apart. Thank you.
Thank you, Hansika and Trisha. So before we start, I'd like to ask all fellow beings, is our excitement about inhabiting another planet justifiable when we ourselves have been not able to take care of the one that we're living on? As humans and individuals, we have the capacity to not overlook the trigger every time we get this reality check and know the world will be definitely a better place. Only if our sights accumulate our thoughts to form a better one. Marching for miles with banners and organizing campaigns where voices find power in unison. Our aspiration towards the looming climatic disaster must not stop with the nod of the heads of millions of Thunbergs, signing agreements and shaking hands at summits. But till when will our check be on invigorating and rejuvenating our planet, which just demands for us to inhabit it sustainably, for her but for ourselves too, and efficiently create an environment that wouldn't need to pose restrictions but give the autonomy to revitalize survival? So, hello everyone. We, the Green Crusaders of Bluebells International, are here to share our perspective as to what an individual's stake can be at eradicating today's spotlighted problems of climate change and waste management are. With an escalating population, production of waste to some extent is definitely inevitable, but escalating its detrimental effects isn't. Managing it and, however, entailing its treatment is something you and me can do without hesitation. So, let me give you a jolt. Everybody knows about the Yamuna River, right? So, this river that flows with its pristine waters from the Yamunotri Glacier in the Himalayas through Delhi at Wazirabad can be so dry to the extent that the riverbed can be used as a cricket or a hockey field. Well, how can this happen? The Yamuna is a perennial river. So let us share with you what we have discovered. We welcome you to a panel discussion with our panelists, Hardik, Madan.
Good evening. I'll be representing the Eco Club ambassador from Bluebells International, who has been the driving force behind many strategic environmental initiatives in our school. Thank you.
Omysha, Mehra.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be representing the Indian Center for Plastics in the Environment.
Hansika, Bhargava.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be representing a hydraulic engineer and would be enlightening all of you about water management and its potential.
Preksha Jain.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be representing the Government of India.
And also amongst us is Trisha, Juneja.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be playing the role of a student.
So we welcome our audience and participants for this session. So please feel free to raise your hands and ask and answer questions and present your views. Remember, this discussion is as much yours as ours. Present with us today. So the other day, I was asking this lady while I was going to buy some fishes. So So I asked her for a plastic bag, and you know what she said? She said that the plastic is already inside the fish. Each time we talk about global warming or a climate catastrophe, plastic without a doubt is the chief guest. But what has it actually done to command such an honor?
The actual issue with plastic is that most of it is not biodegradable. And a dependency on plastic is increasing by the minute. Every year, about 8 million tons of plastic enters the world's ocean and is brought into the seas by rivers, or is in fact blown into the sea from ships and beaches. Some of it is flushed down the toilet as well. By 2050, there could be more plastic in our oceans than fish. Unbelievable, right? But are we ready to live in such a laminated world?
Unfortunately, plastic can be difficult to recycle because of its composition. Like coffee cups, for instance, have a waterproof plastic coating that makes recycling difficult. 7 million cardboard coffee cups are discarded every day, and yet just one in every 400 is recycled. India's contribution to this building catastrophe is 25,940 tons of plastic waste daily, and out of which 60% gets recycled according to the Environment Ministry. So, as a country, we are known for recycling initiatives.
Okay, yes. But imagine a little ATM chamber with two air conditioners and four tube lights that is open almost 24 hours a day, requesting me not to print a receipt to preserve the environment. Isn't life full of ironies? Indeed, plastic has appeared to become a scapegoat for everything that is wrong with the world, which is definitely a deception. Single-use plastics are used in the industry to keep instruments sterile. The medical industry would literally be incomplete without it. Helmets made of plastics protect our head. Seat belts, fuel tanks, windscreens, and airbags keep us secure in our vehicles. Plastic also aids in the insulation and energy efficiency of our homes. Imagine a life without plastic now. Possible or impossible?
Exactly, Omysha. Plastic has always been deemed to be, the demonic nemesis of our planet, along with getting termed as like a colossal problem that cannot be avoided. It's always termed as something that's responsible for the reduction in the population of various animals like elephants. However, if you step back and you look back in history, you would see things from a distinctly different viewpoint. Today, more than like 100 elephants are murdered for their ivory every single day, but their numbers have actually declined by 62%. So it's not just plastic that's responsible.
Let me just tell you to touch things around you. Your phone, laptop, serving trays, baskets, crates, bins are all made of plastic. Because look at this, plastic is just so light, yet so strong and incredibly versatile. Now, plastic wrapping also keeps food fresh for longer and reduces food wastage. Now, I'm sure you all know about the upcoming 5G mobile communications technology. Even that is powered by the optic fibers in plastics. Okay, let's just study the recent example. In the COVID pandemic, we from a little mask to PP kits, vaccination trials, and syringes, all of that is proof enough that plastic, when it meets great standards, is safe to use and not the devil that we all commonly believe it to be. For all of that, I would just say that the plastic coin truly has another side that goes beyond our convenience.
Exactly, Hardik, and even, I agree with you. And this fact also circle back to us using every single thing in our daily life in an adequate and an optimum way, right? And talking about this makes me think that if not plastic, then what? Substitution with materials such as glass and metals may definitely not entangle seas, like you all said, but nonetheless, they do come at a cost. Be it environmental and actual, both are bound to disturb the habitats and the ecosystem. So, where does the problem actually lie? Is plastic really poisonous, or we using plastic in a poisonous manner? Is there really a way out of this plastic cluster?
Well, there is a way out of this entire dilemma we are facing. We exist in a world driven by overconsumption, and we do not value what we have, and thus are habituated to purchasing items with the sole aim of discarding them. Perhaps if we consume plastic in a more, I don't know, responsible way, the entire plastic problem will become, say, inevitable. However, the most efficient solution currently is recycling this mismanaged waste, which has led to progress in the current situation.
Right, Hansika. I mean, plastics are all pervasive in modern life. So, what do we actually do then? Do we fight against its usage, or do we find ways to reuse this very versatile and resilient waste product? So, let me share it with you, right? As of the year 2016, India has 1 lakh kilometers of road built using plastic waste, and the government aims to double this mileage. The fee for a school in northeastern India is plastic waste, bags, bottles. This plastic waste is compressed, used as bricks to build the school. I will not deny that glass and metal waste may not trap seals, but they definitely do come with a cost, right? The energy that is consumed in producing metals is comparatively higher than both producing and recycling plastic, which at the end of the day just propels the fact that recycling plastic is way more efficient.
I totally agree with Preksha, and I also hold the view that we must not actually dismiss the positive aspects of plastic. And to foster this perspective, we at the Indian Center for Plastics in the Environment have been working really, really hard to solve environmental, technological concerns, and also particularly focusing on plastic waste. Now, so far, we have collaborated with numerous schools in India, including Bluebells, and we also encourage students to collect plastic waste from their homes, deposit it in the school, and we collect it from our organization and deliver it to authorized recycling facilities. Now, by doing this, we are not only motivating the youth to take proactive actions, but we are also saving plastic from piling up in landfills and we are also providing raw material to a fast growing industry dependent on using plastic. Remember, riding a bicycle twice does not count as recycling anyway.
Wow, Omysha. And in fact, we're already a step ahead to a sustainable world, right? So why not gear up for an audience question? We all have heard about Nobel Prize, haven't we? So you can answer in the chat that Mr. John, Mr. Stanley, and Mr. Yakira were said to be laying the foundation of a wireless fossil fuel free society and again got a Nobel Prize for the same. But what did they actually do? Are you all aware about it? You can put your answers in the chat. Okay, right. Well, they talked about and they found lithium ion batteries. Now, these lithium ion batteries are a great example of how chemistry can transform people's life. They created an entirely rechargeable world. It can also store significant amounts of energies from solar and wind power, making possible a fossil fuel free society. Well, why are we talking about this? So, a typically modern phone's battery, the one you and me are using, is a lithium ion battery again, which lifespan is about 2 to 3 years. And let's say it has about 300 to 500 charge cycles. And after that, this battery's capacity will drop roughly by 20%. And how often you'll charge the phone will matter it, for better or worse. But this 2 to 3 year span will cause the entire environment more than 100 years of damage, and that too only for the metal part of the batteries to decompose. So, what's actually the intensity and cure?
I mean, you cannot expect us to give up on our phones suddenly, right? But as years progress, the cosmos takes a new shape that humanity has yet to discover. I mean, you wouldn't have imagined an iPhone or laptop in the dinosaur era, would you? Just imagine dinosaurs texting each other about the meteor shower. I would just say that change has led us into the third millennium, and this change brings with itself a set of new problems. But eventually, we do find solutions in the course of time.
So, technology has advanced so quickly in recent decades that it's difficult to think a world without smartphones, GPS maps, laptops, and other electronic devices. There are currently more mobile phones on the planet than there are people, and the world's population is 7.5 billion. So, according to the estimates from the Environmental Protection Agency, reusing precious metals and polymers in old cell phones can save enough energy to power up to 25,000 households for a year. However, e-waste recycling rates remain stubbornly low, which is why proponents of recycling are doing everything they can to raise awareness of the approach's long-term environmental and economic benefits.
Now, the challenge of minimizing e-waste is one that everyone should be aware of and committed to. These devices contain dangerous substances such as mercury and lead, and while they are safe to use, but once they are disposed of, The poisonous metals can leach into the soil and water, contaminating both of them. Now, if these chemicals end up in your drinking water, both you and your family putting your health at risk. It's not just about reducing environmental dangers when it comes to e-waste reduction.
Exactly, Hansika, and it's pretty much evident that the intensity of the cause has been adequately addressed. However, the search towards seeking a solution has been definitely an arduous task. And again, like Hansika rightly said, we are really aware that minimizing e waste conserves resources and minimizes the amount of energy required to manufacture all our products. But these things are better said than done. So, how do you all plan to execute this?
Right. So when it comes to the execution, it's actually significant to keep the cost of new consumer items down. And once manufacturers have access to the parts that they need from the recycling industry, the cost of producing a new smartphone or any other electronic gadget decreases. So what we also aim to do is to educate responsible consumerism, preserve what we already have, reuse items, minimize our possessions, and start looking for an environmentally friendly label when they buy their next gadget.
Preksha, after you said that, it listens to me that it's baffling how we humans measure economic growth and development on the basis of luxuries we own, oblivious to the price we're paying for this growth. Let us hear what Omysha and Hansika have to share about the elixir of life, water being wasted.
I see where you're getting at, MG. And the problem that we face is with us harnessing all the benefits that water gives to us without actually harming water sources and causing them to get diminished. Now, most sources of water are inaccessible, and those which are accessible are unevenly distributed. Now, almost 1 in 9 people on the planet lack access to clean and affordable drinking water, while shortage of water affects agriculture adversely. And I'm sure that everyone sitting here will get goosebumps when I tell you that nearly 1 million people die each year from water, sanitation, hygiene related diseases, while the urban sector enjoys its privilege gambling tons of water bottles. It sounds so surreal that every 2 minutes a child dies from a water related disease, while many girls stop going to school at puberty due to lack of sanitation. Is the world really changing in this Gen Z era of technology, or is this a mere misconception?
See, now I believe the major cause of this entire problem, as specified by Omysha as well, is pollution. And this is because I believe this causes destruction of the already existing supplies of water. According to the UN, you won't believe that 80% of the world's sewage is released into the seas untreated. For example, the Yamuna River, due to the untreated industrial waste immersion of idle during festivities, which increases CDS levels, has become so full of rocks and has become hazardous and supports almost no life. Adding on to such problems is aquifer depletion caused by excessive pumping of water and other factors. Along with climate change, agriculture is both a cause and victim of scarcity of water, with it using more than 90% of the water available to us.
Listening to this, it wrenches my heart when I hear how people lose their lives striving in search for the basic necessities like water that have every right to be owned by every single heart beating out there. We say the nation is freed, but indeed we're marching past an epoch of aqua intoxication. In this context, I would really like to take an opinion from you, Trisha. As a student, what do you personally think would be the apt solution to combat such a crisis?
So I think water management, because it helps in developing efficient irrigation practices for the betterment of the agriculture in the country, and proper utilization of water in our homes can aid likewise. So water management teaches us to use a limited amount of water whenever required and keeping the citizen accountable for any wastage that occurs. So there are different statutory commissions established by the government and the NGOs that are working towards sustainable protection of water resources. However, I feel that it's the grassroots level changes that bring a positive impact and the citizens' initiative that matters the most. So, right water management helps in maintaining the cycle and the existing biodiversity.
Exactly, Trisha, and even I agree with you. And talking about water management, well, where does the last night's dinner go? Is a topic we'd rather not think about, right? It leads way to a significant subset of civil engineering and a massive amount of public funding. Just like all dogs go to heaven, all drains in the city lead to a wastewater treatment plant, where this wastewater gets turned back into water that we all drink. So sometimes, probably, you've drunk water that was waste at some point of time, and you might want to take some time to understand this engineering process that makes dirty water clean. So here's where we are. Let's hop on to a video to further understand how wastewater treatment plant works. Well, without these operators into the dirty job that they do around the clock, our sewage will always stay sewage, and sanitation in modern cities would be much, much worse. Wastewater treatment is an essential dirty job. So let's hear what Ms. Preksha has to say about the wastewater treatment plants in Delhi.
Thank you so much for asking, Mahashweta. So, a wastewater treatment plant was actually installed by the Delhi government, which has a capacity of treating 31.8 crore liters of wastewater per day. And it's a major step towards cleaning the river Yamuna. So, what we truly believe is that the water situation in the Yamuna River, which is, currently threatened from poor management of surface water, overdraft of groundwater, and a lot of water misuse and waste, and obviously a lot of pollution, can definitely be improved by it can be improved remarkably through better understanding, appropriate policy and regulatory measures, and the necessary attitudinal change in the users.
That's a great initiative. And it's also said that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So, who all over here have heard about rainwater harvesting? As kids, we've always talked about rainwater harvesting in our schools, right? And in many countries, even storm water is being managed. For it's said to be picking up harmful pollutants that are then pushed into storm drains, streams, and rivers. So, are there also any other methods or initiatives through which we may find a ray of hope in the sea of darkness?
Yes, MG, there are. And likely the most effective way to reduce water pollution is actually by treating some of the water before it is reintroduced into the waterways. Sewage will be taken through several chambers of the facility to slowly reduce its toxicity levels. And Tarun Sebastian Nanda, an ecological engineer, uses a natural way to clean water bodies in Delhi through his Adopt an Island initiative. He basically constructs floating wetlands by using aquatic plants. These plants are placed on buoyant mats made from drainage pipes and discarded soda plastic bottles. And when the island is placed on surface water, they basically absorb chemicals like manganese, iron, aluminium, and other contaminants to the roots and foliage, thus purifying the polluted water. These wetlands also discourage the growth of algae and help improve the overall ecosystem.
Yeah, this isn't it. The other day, I was reading this article and I found out about an amazing discovery. So, using artificial intelligence and robotics, there were two people, as far as I remember, I think Asim Bhalerao and Nidhi Jain. They were instrumental in diverting 600 million liters a day of raw sewage from entering water bodies and also prevented over 5,600 hours of manual scavenging. Now, the couple, I think, basically developed a robot that can map and inspect underground pipelines. I think this is very useful because the collected data identifies the structural defects, the operations and maintenance failure modes. So it basically makes it easier for the authorities to fix them easily and on time. So I would just say that such robotics and AI-based solutions are expected to be cost-effective, relevant, while also being highly scalable and intrinsically safe to operate in extremely hardware conditions too.
So we do have hidden saviors around the world, don't we? And on a note to protect our water bodies to combat wastewater, even I'd like to add on an order that was made by the High Court of Uttarakhand. whose basic move was to seen as a measure to increase protection for the rivers, which are deeply venerated in India but are heavily polluted. However, the Supreme Court denied and stated that India's revered Ganga and Yamuna rivers cannot be viewed as living entities. But nevertheless, it's amusing how a river in New Zealand has become the world's first river to be granted the same legal rights as a person, same legal rights as you and me. Their parliament passed a bill recognizing the Wangui River in North Island as a living entity.
Definitely. So, in accordance with this, the governments have actually ensured that many other anti pollution laws and regulations at local, state, and international levels. I mean, these are perfect measures for curtailing water pollution. Laws have always played like an excellent role to ensure that water pollution levels are kept to the minimum. Environmental protection policies such as the Clean Water Act's work to ensure that anti-pollution laws are affected and they apply to all significant waters, including groundwater. But I also think that as a way of reducing the pollution load to zero, there is a need for the more advanced engineered cleaning processes. So some developed worlds have sewage treatment plants with extra systems for eliminating the pathogens and the nutrients.
There are some really great and effective measures shared by Trisha, and I believe that other regions should also emulate the strategy to reduce sewage pollutant loads to zero. Now, hydraulic engineering is the application of the principles of fluid mechanics to problems dealing with the collection, storage, control, transportation, regulation, measurement, and use of water. It is extremely important to reduce the hydraulic overload by increasing the volume carriage capacity of the sewage at the central collection point. Now, sewage management should also incorporate treatment and cleaning of stormwater runoff that contains various contaminants, a commonly neglected aspect in developing in some developed nations as well. Now, domestic household septic tanks should ensure on-site pre-treatment of wastewater before infiltrating into the soil.
And as we talk about initiatives and contributions, it has become pretty much evident how we all are taking a step towards making a change. And in fact, it's also said that one book, one pen, one child, and one teacher can change the entire world. So now I'd like to call upon Hardik, the Eco Club member of the school, and Trisha, a student, to enlist on a few aspects of what our school personally have done to contribute in bringing change that we wish to see in a better world.
I would say that schools create an ambience that empowers learners of all ages with the knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes to address the interconnected global challenges we all are facing. Now, this could include climate change, environmental degradation, loss of biodiversity, poverty, inequality, etc., etc. Now, look how in these big students of our school have gathered together to fight for the environment. Bluebells International has placed water and waste management for sustainable development as a foremost priority, committed to the cause of environmental cognition. Now, entrenching the upgrade of recycling and responsible waste management in school curriculums is unduly vital. And I tell you, doing this successfully took us years. For the same cause, we have ensured segregation of waste, and believe me, it was not an easy task. We had to organize regular workshops with students, Mirage workers, etc., in order to create awareness. I am sure Trisha would agree. We now have 3 colored bins across the school, with those of dry waste, which includes cardboard, metal cans, and plastic, which can then be put into a waste stream and be processed efficiently and effectively. Then we have paper waste, which is again recycled and used to make invitation cards, art pieces, folders, registers, etc., etc., which are used for all school events. Lastly, we dedicate 1 bin to wet waste, which is converted into compost.
So, as a student, I've seen that our campus has indeed been very eco-friendly, where we have extensively used vermicomposting pits to recycle the canteen waste and promote sustainability with the compost being used in our school gardens.
Furthermore, instead of banning plastic completely, we send plastic waste to authorized recyclers. So next time you buy a shirt or a pair of shoes or stand at a podium, don't be surprised if it is made of plastic that we help to recycle.
Plastic bottles are reused into creating innovative and sustainable projects such as bird feeders, planters, pen holders, garden decorations, and much more, which encourages our students to become far-sighted conversion thinkers. In our conviction, all schools should refrain from using styrofoam plates, and as a recourse to that, which we have fostered the use of steel plates in the canteen and steel tiffins for students. Overall, we have proudly formed a zero waste backdrop in our school, but as water resources also become scarce, water management becomes another area of focus. So I believe that all schools like ours should engage in rainwater harvesting, which shall go a long way in the conservation of natural resources.
Also, our institution has been making spirited efforts to address the alarming global plastic crisis in our little ways. Before we take profound steps, awareness and education among students are important, and thus we have put up posters related to water conservation and waste reduction near the canteen on all water points, class boards, etc., and also organized various webinars and sessions to advocate the cause. I would say one of our most far reaching initiatives has been the one where we encourage students to pour the water left in their bottles into buckets during dispersal. Now, this water, I would say, could be used for mopping floors, gardening purposes in our school, etc., etc. Furthermore, the project Yamuna Froth for Tears, under which we are creating awareness, testing water, examining causes, and discovering solutions, shall thrive to rejuvenate the dying, polluted Yamuna River, which is an important water source for many cities across India. After all, a drop of water is worth more than a sack of gold to a thirsty man.
Hardik and Trisha, you've really made us understand that all institutions should integrate such contemporary solutions to advocate for sustainable development. The earth will not continue to offer its harvest except with faithful stewardship. For the ultimate test of man's conscience may be his willingness to sacrifice something for today's posterity, whose words will not be thanks will not be heard. With this, I would like to express my gratitude towards all panelists who presented their comprehensive inputs and views which shall contribute towards revitalizing Mother Earth. This is me, Mahashweta, your moderator of the day, signing off. The floor is now open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. I know Miss Freeman's class is going off soon, changing hands. I don't know if maybe one or two questions from her end, or has she left already? Probably yes. Or maybe one or two questions from Miss Freeman's class.
Callum has
Yeah, I have a question about, so I know how we manage waste here. I'm just wondering, how do you guys manage your waste over in India?
I think if I talk generally in India, in our we in India live in neighborhoods and colonies, so there are waste management systems. For example, there's an authority that collects the waste of all the people in one neighborhood, and then it is taken to a particular place where either it can be recycled, and we avoid sending it to landfills, but that still happens. So I think that's the basic thing we follow in India. Over to Misha.
I think I would like to add on Hardik's point. Personally, in my neighborhood, we try to segregate, and in my house as well, we try to segregate waste into what waste and wet and dry waste. And also talking about e-waste, because it's one of the emerging problems, since we use so many gadgets and we discard gadgets and all. So I always ensure, like my parents and my family ensures, that wherever we send our waste, it's always going to proper recycling units and not in landfills. And so I think that are some of the steps me and my family take for ensuring proper waste management. Yes.
And along with this, I personally also, even our school has initiatives where we donate our clothes and everything, so that's also a good initiative for segregation of waste. And along with this, like that, we also have dry waste, and we have different bins for managing waste. And this one simple significant solution that we all use is recycle, reduce, and recycle, reduce. So along with this, we also there are also these plastic bags in India that were recently launched, which were made out of tapioca seeds. So they're basically not plastic. However, they're they're more productive than plastic.
I would like to add on to all the points stated by the other panelists. is that in my neighborhood, what also happens is we have a composting pit installed. So instead of throwing away all the biodegradable waste, all the kitchen waste, we instead put into the composting pit. So over time, it just comes into use, and we can all use the compost created by it. And because in India, it is very common for people to have flourishing gardens. So it just comes to use there. So that is another way we manage our waste.
With you talked about the wet and dry waste bins. With the stuff you put in there, is that like materials I use in the classroom, or are you just waste in general at school, or does that also apply to the lunchroom?
Yeah, so I think the materials we put into it are from, also we get the waste that is used in our homes to the school, and we collect it in one place, and then it can be used to recycle and be used in various other purposes. But also it is, yes, it is from our classrooms, and the old notebooks or the plastic, let's say the bottles or bags that we use, and also from the school kitchen. If we talk about wet waste, like we use the vegetable peels, fruit peels, everything is used to is converted into compost in our schools, the in our schools vermicomposting pit. And then if you have a look at our school, there are a lot of gardens, and then it is used inside them. So I would say yes. Also, so people also bring waste from their schools, which can be recycled because of our school's network with authorized recyclers. And also inside the school we collect all the waste, and it's reused, recycled, and reduced. Thank you.
So last time, like in the lockdown, we had a project of kitchen garden composting. Like that was as a homework which we did. So we took the kitchen waste, like the banana peels and the vegetable peels and all, and we that was a project that was done by all the students of like in our school. So that was the wet waste, and the dry waste like paper and all. So that's the wet waste and the dry waste, and that's how we do it.
And along with this, when first before pandemic, pre-pandemic, when we all had this offline school going on, every classrooms had this initiative of during dispersals we used to clean off our entire classrooms, and collect all the waste and then put it inside dustbins. So in that case, we used to have a lot of newspaper waste, and we used to put that into the paper waste bin. So what happened was that after that, those were also sent to the recycling units always. But then we also have this club in our school which does paper recycling ourselves. So in that we create paper mache and make products out of it. And we really believe in best out of waste, and instead of decorating everything with new products. So that's one initiative that we also do in our school.
Marcos,
We have Marcos who has a question. Marcos, please ask.
So you've been talking a lot how you had students in your school bring waste from home. How do you like get your word out to all the students in your school to like bring waste from their school home into school, and how do you like make sure they listen?
I would like to answer your question, since the online mode has actually really benefited all of us, since we keep various workshops, like almost every week we keep so many workshops on such things, and through that we actually raise awareness in our own school. And I think I was a part of one of the workshops, and so what we did was we spread awareness in a very effective manner. And so we told students we send circulars. First of all, we send messages, and through that children actually get motivated to first of all collect the waste and deposit it in the school. From there, as I said, the ICPE people, they collected it and they sent it to recycling units. So I think that's the main procedure how our school does it. So yes, hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think Omysha covered it, but just one thing, we also sometimes, give the authorities, the teachers give us incentives to get waste. With, for example, we can have some kind of a competition of which class collects the most amount of waste, and which class recycles most of it. And then we have our class boards and stuff where we use recycled paper and everything for the decoration. So that really incentivizes us to get waste from our home, then use it in a creative, innovative way. So yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, like Hardik and Omysha said, we also have like donation drives and like competitions in that case. But I like to enlist this one webinar in which we had the Nestman of India, Mr. Rakesh Khatri. He literally sensitized everybody about making nests for sparrows and birds using eco-friendly materials. So like that, even our schools promotes a lot of webinars and webinars with a lot of profound people.
I have a quick question. Where are you seeing most of your waste coming from? Like, are you seeing it mostly from the canteen, or are you seeing it from classrooms?
Like I already said, our school does not really believe in wasting food, so we just take adequate amount of food, whatever we have, and most of us just get food from home, and even the canteens gives food, so it's like it's properly managed. So matlab, sorry. So we have really the zero waste backdrop in our school, and we really don't waste food. So in that sense, canteen we really don't have any waste coming. And again, like already I said, we have had these waste, paper waste and all, which comes from classrooms, which are then recycled and sent to authorized recyclers.
Canteen only we have the vegetable peels when the cooking is done. Otherwise, cooked food is not wasted. That is not allowed. But whatever vegetable peels we have, that we converted to compost. So that is the canteen waste we have.
Yeah, Mrs. Lala has a question.
Ma'am,
Mrs.
Rekha
Lala,
Lala
would you
has joined us today from Climate Reality Project India. So I would like request ma'am to ask a question. Thank you, ma'am, for joining today.
No, I have seen the whole presentation, beautiful presentation, and the students are saying such good things and all that. I have only one question. That is that we see if you go to Yamuna and see, there is no water, and because the water we take it for us ourselves. So when you get water at home, that water is from Yamuna. But if you go and see Yamuna, that is a sewage. It's kind of a and when you talk about waste, you go and see the landfills. Everywhere there is. So when you say that school is doing so much, and the landfill size is increasing every day, there is something wrong we are doing. All of us. So I think everybody has a RO system at home. All of us has a RO system at home. So what do you do to that water? What do we do? School is doing so much, but at home also, those things I think we need to practice. It is a lifestyle we need to change. So the RO system, we have in that tank only 10 liters, but 30 liters goes waste. So do you use, what I have done is I have taken an aquarium pipe, which is very tiny, and I have fixed it up. That RO system, yes, I think that is a reverse osmosis, that is called. So reverse osmosis is what the RO system is. When we clean the water, but we waste 10 liters we get. For that, 30 liters is wasted. So all of you, do you do that? Do you recycle? Do you use that water? Do you reuse that water at home?
Anyone wants to take that question?
Yes, ma'am. So like in our community, personally, we collect water. Every wastewater from our house is like collected to a separate tank. There is a separate tank which is then used for mopping and cleaning of the entire community. People clean with that water, and along with that, we also have this personally, like after 2 to 3 weeks, we have this duration in which we get water for a limited amount of time. So that basically regulates the amount of water usage in our community.
Thank you. Benjamin has a question. Benjamin, please ask.
How do you make sure that the hot food is not wasted? Like, is it that you minimize proportion sizes, or some other way?
I think in
Who's
our
taking
school
that question from me?
Hardik is answering.
I think in our school, instead of preparing all the food, we have a good staff which when the order or something comes, they can prepare it on the spot so that the food is not wasted. Because we are never sure how much food will be needed for the day. We do have an idea, so we try to ensure that whatever food that can be made on the spot and served hot, and there we reduce the probability of it being wasted by having a staff on the board where we have enough people working on the cooking side, on the canteen serving side, and everything. So I think most of it is not wasted, but we do keep a check on the statistics as to how much portion is being used every day, so that we get an idea as to how much we need and how much is being wasted, so that we can reduce it.
Along with that, I would just like to add a very small point. We get midday meals in our schools. So on an individual or level, our teachers also encourage us to take only what is required. So that also really helps the children to keep in mind to not basically waste food. So yes.
Even I would like to add that during their primary classes, we tell them to take less amount but taste everything, so as to develop the taste for that particular item. Even if you don't like it, try and taste some, even if you're tasting it for once. So taste it and then decide whether you're going to have it or not. So that is how we develop the taste for different kind of items also. Thank you.
Yes, Pierce, you can go on with your question.
So I was wondering how you would gain like publicity for your movements.
So for the publicity, basically, again, like we organize a lot of webinars, and also enlisted in the panel discussion, we had this Yamuna Froth for Tear campaign. So we also create a lot of signature campaigns, which not only patches, but the entire school together performs, and along with donation drives. So we basically make campaigns, and we also have this kind of thing in which we take banners and march around the roads to spread awareness.
I would like to add here, we also send monthly circulars to the parents, monthly circulars with the eco tips. It is sent to the parents, to the entire school. So they get to know what initiatives, environment related initiatives we are doing, and then they follow. So this is how it is spread in the community also.
Also, peers, if you see, we have a very strong students council in school, right? All our members sitting here are members of the students council. So a students council is a group of students which represents the students, right? So they are main volunteers who help in the dissemination of information through various announcements in the assemblies. We have regular assemblies, and there are well-designed awareness drives which are there in our planner. We have planned those awareness drives over several months, on a regular basis. So it is this group of 26 children who then help in passing on the information to the rest of the school, right? And in addition, like Ma'am Neeru said, we have a monthly circular that goes to the parents about one new initiative every month. And then we follow that up with them. So it is a student-led drive, basically. Does that answer your question, Piers? Thank you.
Ms. Freeman has a question, comment.
First, I have to say I am really just stunned and astonished by all of the work by obviously the students and staff at Bluebells International. I was so busy taking notes over here, and then we had kids going in and out. I would say that the opening that you had was beautiful, how you incorporate your eco-learning with artwork, from the personification of Earth to the poem that ran behind it, and then all the factual information that came. I feel like I learned so much. So I think my question is a possibly one that would go to Hardik or somebody on that student council. We also have a club of eco ambassadors here. With everything that you do you put it in a sort of constitution, or do you have guidelines? Because I'm wondering if at some point, if you guys agree this might be a good idea, that maybe we could do like a cross share of documents and strategies.
Yes, ma'am. In our school, we do record everything so that students can get inspired by the initiatives we do, and we do make people aware with sharing those pics and sharing what we have done, and also, of course, the guidelines as ma'am mentioned. We send circulars, so it also includes guidelines and suggestions that we can inculcate in our homes and schools. So I would say that all the initiatives that we take up in our school are recorded in a manner that includes the strategy and our outcome and everything, so that we can share it with the students, so that they can imply it in their homes and use it in the future. And yeah, I would say that it's a good idea if we exchange strategies and implement what your school has done, and you can implement our initiatives, and that will be really a good way forward.
My follow-up question might be one for the educators and or the students. So in New Jersey, we're very proud that we're, in the US, the first state to incorporate climate change standards into our curriculum. And so my question to you is all of that really rich learning that you're doing that involves, a lot of interaction between home, community, and school, is that written somewhere into your overall educational guidelines, or is that something that really comes up out of the culture of Bluebells?
Ma'am, we do have our environment planner. So where all the activities, we have month-wise planner, and in month-wise, we do have weekly planner. So what are we going to do in a week? So that is, everything is planned, and every month activities are also planned. For example, April, we celebrate Earth Day. So what activities are we going to do? So everything is planned. So like in March, we just had a festival of Holi. So we send circular to the parents so that they celebrate environment friendly Holi, because here it is, in this festival we waste a lot of water, and we use inorganic colors, which is not good for the health and as well as for the water bodies. So everything is planned, and we have an environment planner monthly, and in monthly we have weekly also, where theme wise activities are planned and the entire school has to follow. So it's a whole school program. So at all levels, primary, pre-primary, middle, senior, we follow the activities, and according to their age group, we do the differentiated instruction. For example, the primary students, they are good at making posters, so they will make posters. The senior make videos and spread awareness and campaigns, so that this activity is carried out throughout the school. So we do have environment planner, so it is and it is followed for the entire year. Plus, we also have SDG incorporated in our curriculum. So all the lessons, whatever we teach, they are incorporated with the SDGs. So the in-house activities which are being done as in all the subjects, whether it is math, science, SST, so SDGs are incorporated there also. So that is every teacher's responsibility to link the chapters, the curriculum with the SDGs. So that is how they take that also into the consideration.
So what Ms. Freeman wanted to know is whether we have a well-documented, yes, we have. It is called the Annual Handbook of Environment. Right? That is our handbook, which is designed, and that is what Ma'am Neeru is trying to say. Yes, there is a document which is is followed up by the entire school and integrated well into it. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm speechless, which is unusual.
Yeah, sorry. Additionally, there are some projects from time to time different classes undertake. And those class groups work specifically on those specific projects as climate change or how to integrate waste management. So classes do special projects also. So that is how the whole year planning, one through the lesson planning, and second through those special projects, and third as club activities under Environment Club. So in this way, the whole SDG program is incorporated as curriculum in the school network.
Thank you so much. I could see the staff effort and how that totally supports the students too.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman, for your questions. I think your idea of cross-pollinating ideas, document sharing, I think is wonderful because we will get to learn a lot, and also hopefully Bluebells will also get to learn from some of the initiatives that we are working on. And maybe having these kind of dialogues, I think really helps us to think beyond our own boundaries. Sometimes you just feel alone that, oh, you are the only one doing this and there's no support. So I think this group can be a support system for each other. And of course, Bluebell school students have been just so inspirational to have all these discussions going forward. Unfortunately, because of the time difference, they are unable to attend the sessions that Ms. Freeman's class has. Today also we have it at 3:30, but hopefully everyone will be able to see the videos and we can have some sort of idea exchange through those YouTube videos. Given the time, and I know everyone is busy with classes and going back to having dinner, we will adjourn for tonight and today, and hopefully we'll have many more exchanges going forward as we continue our journey towards being an eco ambassador and learning from each other. Just one last bit that I will share this video with our Columbia University has a plastic coalition of scientists who are doing plastic work as well as some other climate environmentalist professors. So we will share it with them because sometimes they are also trapped in their own labs, and it would be helpful to see that their work is also percolated and the same message is out there in schools across different continents. I think that will be a good resource for them to watch also. Thank you so much for attending today, and it's just been very inspirational, and I'm just so honored to be a part of this group. Thank you.